Some of the things that I went through are really, 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 really difficult, and I hope that you don't go through the same thing. To give you a backstory, I started making some serious, serious money when I hit the age of 18. I was making money from 15 years of age, but this was only like a couple of $1,000s every single month. It wasn't anything crazy. Up until I hit 18 years of age, this is when, I started making five figures plus. And it's only when you kind of start hitting the five figure plus is when you start making some life changing money, right? We're going to speak about the specific amounts that will really, really change your life in a second. I remember at 18, I bought my first I bought my first apartment, which I put out for rent. So that was my first investment property, and that was a really, really big deal for me. 18 years of age, I bought my first car. It was a really, really nice Audi, very, very nice car for the age that I was. Um, 19 or 20 years of age, I brought my first Rolex. 21, I brought my second Rolex. Bought multiple really, really nice cars, Mercs, Beamers, in between. Spent like tens of thousands of dollars on travel. I've traveled to probably over flipping 20 countries when I was 18, literally during what the UK people we call it we call it the leaving cert. UK calls it A levels. I'm not sure what you guys in the US call it, right? So I was just doing a mad thing, traveling, just really, really, really enjoying life. And through all of these experiences, it shaped me in multiple different ways. And I've went through a lot of difficulties, even till this day, that I still feel them, right? And I'm gonna go through a couple of them now. One of the worst things that I will say is money is great, but you do start feeling like an outcast, specifically when you're younger, right? And especially at a time when your peers still haven't really made any money whatsoever. Like at 18 years of age, this is kind of when people or kids just kind of just start getting their first jobs. So you have access to so much money, right? That I can travel. I was able to do whatever I wanted. Yet my friends weren't able to do the same thing. And it becomes really, really difficult, right? Because you start feeling lonely. Quite frankly, at 18 years of age, you're at your like peak hormones, right? You're so full of energy. You want to explore, you're excited, you want to do a lot of these things. And unfortunately, people your age just don't have that same capability to do the same thing, right? So you start feeling a lot more lonely and you don't know what to do. And I remember there was many situations and scenarios where I would, give my friends money, help them in order for them to travel with me, etc. Not saying that's a bad thing whatsoever. Those were some of my best memories, right? But it just shows you when you're like, a lot of people think that the minute you start getting rich, everything goes to the best. But all of a sudden now, you're at a different stage of life. Although your age is 18, but you're operating at a level that's 25, 30, 40 years of age, right? You're making money that adults are not making. So all of a sudden, you went through specific experiences in your life. You went through specific obstacles and you've solved specific things in your life that people in your age haven't been able to solve. So straight away, your maturity levels just drastically shoot up, right? So you tend to really, really struggle vibing with people of your age, right? And once again, people are not on the same financial level as you, and doing the little stuff that you used to do at 18 that the average 18-year-old doesn't cut it anymore. You're trying to chase that next dopamine hit, and at the age of 18, the next dopamine hit across 99% of entrepreneurs I see at that age that are doing well is traveling. And that's the one thing you'll find that you'll have to really learn to be comfortable with yourself and just travel. I remember there's so many times where I traveled myself, and honestly, those were some of the best experiences. As you age and you hit the age of like 22, I'm currently 23 at the moment, right? So we're talking, this is 5 years ago. Obviously, my friends are all making money now, etc. So traveling isn't much of a difficult thing, right? So that was one specific example. I would say that was really, really and truly a struggle. The next thing I would say is I wasn't born into an incredibly rich family or anything, right? My family were doing okay, right? We weren't poor, we weren't rich, okay? Just a very normal middle class family. So I wasn't born into an incredibly rich family. But the minute you start making a lot of money as someone that's young, specifically internet or online money, you lose value for that money. And this is really, really crazy because I remember I made a lot of money in Forex, for those of you that don't know my past and what I used to do, right? And specifically within the Forex niche, you make money on your phone. and it's just random numbers on a blue screen that you see in your MT4, your trading terminal. And you don't realize that like that $500, once you see it in cash, like when you really see it in cash, you're able to like materialize it in front of your eyes. You can see like, wow, that is a large amount of money. Like it's a huge sum of money. And when you're making that internet money, you don't put the value to that money. It just becomes like a number on the screen. So I remember there was so many times where I would just spend money or I would lose money and I just couldn't feel anything for money. And there's a good thing and a bad thing. I guess there's an element of abundance that I used to think from a huge, like, I used to think very abundantly that money was always coming in and that's not really an issue, right? And that's a good side of things. But at the same time, you lose value for money, not realizing that $100 or that 200 or 500 or even 1,000 that you're splashing on something so silly and so stupid, right? That could mean the world for another family, for them to survive, to pay their bills. And it's only when I got older that I realized it. It's only when I got older that I'm starting to put more value to money. Not to say that I don't like to spend on luxuries and riches and materialistic stuff. I love all of that stuff. I still do. But I spend in a smart way. And I really only spend with intent. And I don't spend in for any hope to like flex or do any of that. Because I genuinely think that's so stupid, right? I don't buy designer clothes, right? I might wear expensive watches. That's cool. And even the expensive watches, there's always like, it's still an investment, right? Even the cars that I buy, I specifically choose the car that I'm going to buy and I get it at really good prices. And I know when to sell them at perfect times. I study all of this because at the end of the day, how are you going to make a lot of money? But what you don't understand about internet money is that it never lasts. It's never stable. So you need to be smart, not just making money, but you need to know how to keep your money as well and keep it in consistent flow. And one thing that I'm really good at that I do applaud myself for is that I'm able to enjoy a lot with my money, but I get so much ROI in multiple different things, right? So for example, I can go ahead and I can buy a Rolex. I get the enjoyment of having the confidence of the Rolex, enjoying it, looking good in the Rolex, but I still keep my money with the value still there. I can sell this tomorrow and I can get pretty much the same thing that I paid for it. Similarly to experiences, I really do like to spend on experiences, right? Trying new things, going on ski trips, etc. First, you're building memories, you're building experiences, you're building stories. It's shaping you to be a very incredibly interesting man. And that's something that, honestly, like that's something that money buys, right? Is experiences, right? My apologies, someone interrupted my video. Getting back to it. As I was saying, these experiences, not only are you just you're getting enjoyment out of it, there's an ROI on enjoyment, there's an ROI on content, right? You're building memories, stories, etc. So there's multiple things that you can usually get out of the one thing. Whereas we take a look at experiences such as going to the club. Going to the club, it's genuinely a negative ROI. Like there's some things that are positive ROI, some things that are no ROI. You just do it for the sake of doing it, right? Like let's say going to a fancy dinner. There's no real true ROI. Maybe you can say the memory, but let's be real. Once you make money, going to dinner, for God's sake, even people that don't really make that much money, go dinners every single week. It's nothing special. But there's things that are negative ROI. Things such as partying and going to clubs, etc., etc. These are negative ROI. These deteriorate the mind. They genuinely deteriorate the mind, right? It's like kids spending $10,000 on alcohol. Cool, you have the money, but I can't bring myself to spend $10,000. First of all, I'm religious. That's the one thing. But even if I wasn't, I can't bring myself to spend that much money on something so stupid and so silly. For the sake of what? Flexing? For the sake that I can put up the little card and say some stupid meme? I find that genuinely, I don't know, maybe it's, I really don't know what it is. Maybe it's my upbringing. But I genuinely don't find any interest in that whatsoever. So that's one thing. The next problem that I found that I struggled with a lot is something within myself. There's a level of anxiousness that constantly eats at your brain, right? Where you're consistently trying to outperform yourself every single day. And the times when I don't have great performance, my brain goes into an incredibly really strong overthinking mode where I don't even call it overthinking anymore. It's called mental rumination. And that's once I kind of started learning and studying a bit more of what's happening, because it genuinely like disabled my mind. Mental rumination is just thinking so much to the point where you get into thinking cycles that actually have no solution at all, and you just repeat the process for the dopamine rush of you trying to solve that problem, right? That's all it is. That's what mental rumination is. And that's something that deteriorated my life for so long. In fact, it probably still continues till this day. I've just learned better coping mechanisms on how to deal with that sort of a thing. And I do relay this mental rumination thing that I'm going through a lot to do with making money, right? Because I've put so much on my plate and my stress tolerance has gone through the roof that I'm not even stressed from the problems anymore. The problems don't even stress me. It's just thinking about the problem is what's stressing me out. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not even stressed that I have problems. My stress tolerance is, once again, I've been doing this shit for so long. I've gotten so used to dealing with stress. But my mind ruminates so much that it genuinely disables me from actually working sometimes, where I genuinely just can't focus. I have so much brain fog. And once again, it's from consistently trying to outperform over and over again and not being happy. And that's one thing, like, you're never ever happy. Guys, I remember when I hit my first 10K months, you're happy for a bit. You hit 25K months, you're happy for a bit. But then I hit 100K month, and like the 100K month genuinely did not even give me half the dopamine or happiness or fulfillment that the 10K month gave me. Which brings me on to the idea of diminishing marginal returns, which is actually an economical concept where the more you have of something or the more you consume of something, you're going to reach a specific point within the curve where a specific thing is not going to give you that satisfaction as it would have given you before, right? And that's something that you will definitely feel. And that specific phase will usually happen within the 50K mark a month. And it happens usually within the 50K month mark is because once you hit 25K to 30K, you don't need much any more money than that, genuinely. Especially after you've bought the main things. Let's say you've got a few rental properties, a few investment properties. You've got maybe a nice car. You've got the basics covered, right? All the big expenses out the way. After 30K a month, you can do everything. With 30K a month, you can fly business class. You can take care of your family. You can buy whatever you want, right? You can eat out every single day. You can do everything. You can travel two times a month if you wanted to, not a problem. So every kid usually, and most kids, look, let's be real. When we're 18 and when we're 17, we're trying to get into business. We're not getting into business for the fact of trying to find purpose or trying to change the world. We're getting in there because we've seen the Lamborghinis, we've seen Andrew Tate do this, we've seen, the Rolexes. 99% get in for materialism. And then once we hit the status of materialism being fulfilled, we get lost. And this will happen to probably everyone. And this is the point I hit where I actually ended up making that 25, 30K, whatever. You become comfortable because now everything is fulfilled. I don't need much more than that. You don't get the same dopamine rush anymore. So once you hit that, you're going to sink. Straight away, you're just going to sink. And it happened to me. I had to restart everything over. I lost everything, by the way. Like, I lost everything. And I lost things multiple times. And that's a story for another day. And I'll explain how that happened. Right? I've taken so much L's in my life. It's crazy. But here's the thing. That 30K, after 30K, nothing becomes fulfilling anymore. Because you went in looking for materialism. So anything after that, making 50, 60, 100K, 200K, 300K, it doesn't even become about fulfilling financial needs anymore. It's literally about two things. You either have a big world purpose that you're trying to solve, something big, a big mission that you're trying to solve for. Most people don't have that. Most people really, really don't have that. The second thing, which is the thing that most people, why they continue to make more and more money, 200, 300, 400, 500K, is they're addicted to the game. They're addicted to the big dopamine rush that it gives their ego, chasing the next big thing. And it's a good thing, right? It's drive, but you can fall into a huge rabbit hole. And this is the point, and this happens typically with single males, young single males, and even older single males that don't end up getting married, don't end up having children. I think the balancing thing is when a man gets married and when a man has kids, his drive will genuinely like really go down. But it balances it out. It brings down the ego. It brings down the aimless desire to constantly want to do more. Rather than focus on so much on the quantity, you focus so much more on like, speaking about me, guys, you give me 25K a month, right? Just give me 25K a month. With beautiful family, beautiful kids, beautiful home, in a flipping farm, away from everything. And I will much rather choose that over making 300, 400, 500K a month. And that's the reality of it. And the funny part is, to 25K a month is probably less stressful. So like, so much less stressful. Don't get me wrong though. My whole goal is still to make multiple six figures every single month, right? That's my goal. That's what I aim to do. So I'm not saying stay at the 25K. I genuinely think that's like the lowest you should be aiming for. But you need to understand and realize that that thing comes with a consequence. There's consequences to these things mentally. So that was something that I dealt with. In fact, I still deal with till this day. I've been in the position that I'm currently in now for 5 years, right? Spending every single day like no tomorrow. I don't check my bank balance, nothing. I don't worry about money. But as much time has passed, and I know I'm only 23 years, there's still so much more wisdom that I need to learn still, and gain experiences that I need to make. But even during these 5 years, there's still so much difficulties mentally that you go through, which is having so much money in general. Another big thing that I struggle with making so much money young is trying to find out and figure out like where to become stable. So I'm married, right? And I'm at the point where I'm probably going to have kids in the next couple of years. And I don't know where I want to become stable, because during the 18 to 23, I was traveling everywhere. I love that laptop lifestyle. Just hopping on a flight here, booking this place tomorrow, doing this, meeting up with this client. It's crazy. So for me to want to change my life now and settle down in one home with kids, with family, it's really difficult. It's something that I really struggle with. And in fact, I don't know where I even want to settle down. Do I want to move to Dubai? Do I want to stay in Ireland? Do I want to go to Saudi Arabia? I don't know where I want to go. And it's difficult because this is my home country. This is where I was born. This is where I grew up. All my friends are here. Now you want to force me to go all the way to another country where I know nobody. And I don't even know if I actually do enjoy the ideas there, and just like the massive hustle culture that's there, as someone that's now turning into a family man. It's really difficult. You go there, you have no friends, etc. So you're now in between two minds, because I know that this place that I'm currently in right now, which is Ireland, I know that this, like, I struggle to move and push forward, because that's just the society that we're in here, unfortunately. Anybody that's lived in the UK, lived in Europe in general, understands what I'm talking about. In comparison to Miami, Dubai, etc., Bali, where everyone's just kind of striving, pushing hard. So what you end up finding yourself is in a lot of predicaments. And these, and I'm being very vulnerable here, because these are things that I'm actually dealing with now. I'm actually coming to you with things that I'm dealing with now, even after 5 years of being within this position that I'm in, and I'm still dealing with things. And I'm going to deal, and I know I'm going to deal with so much more and more things, because we were never taught this. So you just end up finding yourself in a lot of predicaments that you have to end up finding out for yourself and solving for yourself. And I hope that you do take some lessons from what I'm telling you here. So that when you do come across these crossroads, you know what route to take, or you just even learn a little bit about how to approach, or just be more aware that this is going to come across you, because it will. And I'm speaking from because I have a shit ton of rich friends, and they all go through the exact same thing, but nobody really speaks about it, and I decided I wanted to. With that being said, I'm gonna leave you guys here. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Yeah, hopefully you learned a thing or two. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.